I remember hearing stories about how he would get mad if we won 4-0 and he didn't score one of the goals. And, you know, that might make him a bastard, but that's a bastard we want. You're thinking, well, he's 20 million. That's a good bargain. Yeah, but I don't care about bargains. I'm not a glazer, so I don't care about saving money. It's not coming in my pocket. For a long time, a lot of people were saying we can't spend that much because of FFP, which I told you guys about 2 months ago that was BS. That's a waste of money. You add more money and you bring in people who bring you points. That's why I want to talk about points. Players are points. That's what Moneyball is.
We're going to put the Manchester back into Manchester United. Come on, Kyle.
Hey guys, I just got done editing the video. I am losing my mind. I've been staring at a computer screen for a while. That was a long video, and I'm sorry in advance for how long that video is. But it was an interesting discussion that I think had to be had. Anyways, the point is that most of my time is spent watching this team play, and I suffer when they don't win. I really do suffer a lot when they don't win. So I do get emotional about it, and I get emotional about my opinions. And you're going to see that towards the end of the video. But hopefully you'll enjoy. If there's anything I said that you don't agree with, leave it in the comments below. Let me know. Let's have a discussion. I love to talk about this kind of stuff. So let me know if you agree with me or you don't agree with me. Enjoy the video. Thanks, guys. Leave a like or subscribe. Thanks. Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode. We got so much to talk about today, so I want to jump right in. So Fabrizio Romano came out today with some interesting updates. Number one, he talked about how Manchester United let Lille know that we are interested in Lenny Euro. This is all I can ask for. Anybody who's been watching my videos knows that I kind of hold our club to a high standard. I want them to get the best of the best in, or at least try to get the best of the best in. Just because I have a wish list of these really top names, that doesn't mean that, you know, I expect us to get all these top names, but I do expect us to try. I do expect us to throw our name in the hat and see if we can make a deal happen. So Fabrizio letting us know that Manchester United have let Lille know that we are interested in Lenny Euro at least gives us a slim chance of getting a player as good as Lenny Euro. Because I know Real Madrid is looking at him, I know he wants to go to Real Madrid, and I know that Real Madrid kind of has to wait for the Saudi window to open to find out what's going on with Nacho Hernandez and if he's actually going to complete his deal to go to Saudi, which, all things being considered, right now looks like that's exactly what's going to happen. But we don't know for sure, and they don't know for sure, and they can't close the deal for Lenny Euro until after this fiscal year is over anyway, because in this fiscal year, they completed a deal for Mbappe, which I know we all think that he's free, but he's not free. There's commitments in there. I think they said something like the rumor is that he's going to get paid 20 million euros a year for 5 years. So he's getting a 100 million euro bonus for signing on, and then his wages. That's the rumor, but that rumor can't be that far off. That's exactly what I would expect if I was killing Mbappe. It just makes sense. So with that in mind, they're probably waiting for the Saudi window to open to make sure the Nacho paperwork all finishes and goes through. They get that Saudi money, like guaranteed, coming in, and then they probably are going to spend that money on Lenny Euro. And that's fine. At least we'll let it be known that we are also interested in case that deal falls through somehow, some way. Now, other than that, they were basically talking with Bayern Munich over the possibility of signing Alphonso Davies, who's in the last year of his contract. And this guy is basically definitely top 3 left backs in the world right now, in my opinion. There's no proof, but I'm telling you that I believe Alphonso Davies is top 3 left backs in the world right now. I think he'd tear it up in the Premier League if he actually came to the Premier League, where it's like a wide open game compared to like the Spanish league. I think he would be so exciting for our squad. Now, they've cooled their talks with Bayern Munich. Real Madrid have cooled their talks with Bayern Munich because I don't think that they believe they have enough funds to finish the Lenny Euro deal and do the Bayern Munich Alphonso Davies deal, especially because Lille doesn't want 40 million, they want 50 million for Lenny Euro. They used to want 60 million euros, and Real Madrid went up to 40, and Lille's still holding out for 50, which makes sense because PSG, Liverpool, and us are ready to pay that 50 million euros for Lenny Euro, I believe. So Real Madrid might have to cough up another 5 or 10 million euros for Lenny Euro, and that might put them over their budget with signing Alphonso Davies this season. Now, Alphonso Davies in his last year of his contract, so if somebody else went in and offered a decent amount and it was a big team like Manchester United, I think Bayern Munich would make the deal, and I think Alphonso Davies would love to come and play for Manchester United. I don't know that for sure. He might say, no, screw it, I'm going to hang on and go to Real Madrid next season. I don't know, but that's another name we should be letting the world know, or Bayern Munich know, that, hey, if that deal falls through, we're interested. Because these are top names. Jim Ratcliffe was on TV doing an interview with Bloomberg, maybe not on TV, but he did do an interview, and he did say that he compared Manchester United to Real Madrid and how he wants to one day be like Real Madrid, or we need to work towards being like Real Madrid. And that's fine. That's all good and fine. But then we have to recruit like Real Madrid. That's music to my ears. For my owner or partial owner to say, I want to be like Real Madrid, awesome. I'm on board. All the fans are on board. Step number one, since we, let's say, are in the business of recruiting top talent, right? So we got Omar Barada from Man City and made him our CEO because he was a really good CFO for them. He did a great job at Barcelona. He did a fantastic job in Man City, and now he's hopefully going to do a fantastic job for us and raise our revenue and make sure the company is being run right. Fantastic. Then we believe that Dan Ashworth is a top-notch sporting director. He was working for Newcastle. We poached him from Newcastle because, again, INEOS is under the impression that Dan Ashworth is worth it, and Dan Ashworth is one of the best at what he does. I'm a little skeptical about Dan Ashworth. I'm not sure if he's actually one of those top sporting directors in the world. Maybe he is, maybe he's not. I don't know. I'm just skeptical. He's not really managed a top four team like a Champions League team for countless years. He only did it, I believe, once for Newcastle, and maybe that's not his fault. Maybe that's because of the jobs at the teams he's had. So you don't know. But they believe, and that's all that counts, they believe that Dan Ashworth is one of the best in the world, and they went and poached him from Newcastle. And that's fair. So we poached Barada, we poached Dan Ashworth. That's kind of like the business end of the deal, even though Dan Ashworth is in the sporting end of the deal, but it's still like the higher ups. Now we're talking about players. And you're on a Bloomberg interview and you say you want to be like Real Madrid. And again, like I said, music to my ears. So here's what I want you to do. I hope this is what they're thinking. You want to be like Real Madrid. You start bringing in superstar talent at a young age like they're doing, like they did with Rodrigo, like they did with Vinicius, like they're doing with Endrick. And mark my words, I think Endrick has the possibility of being the next R9. I mean, this kid is unbelievable in front of goal. He's so young right now, though, so he's going to have some bad games. I get that, but give him another 3 years, barring injury. This kid's built like a tank, and he just feels like he's going to bulldoze over defenders and score goals because he's built like a tank, and he's tough, but he's also a great finisher. So anyways, I think Endrick is great, but here's the deal. That there's a scout that works for Real Madrid in Brazil somewhere, and this guy knows how to spot gems. This guy is amazing at what he does. He's probably the best guy. He's batting 1,000. I know some of you guys don't actually know what that means. That's American for he's the shit, basically. He's the greatest. So he never makes mistakes. So this guy is the guy we need to poach next. We need to get over there, find this scout in Brazil that's finding these gems for Real Madrid, and we need to offer him more money and bring him over and make him our scout. Give him a better house to live in. I don't care what you do. Get this guy to be scouting for us instead of them. That's your next poach, INEOS. That's your next poach. Go get him. Get this guy. This guy knows what he's doing, man. This guy's going to save you money in the long run and get you young Brazilian talent that are good. Okay. Another thing that Fabrizio talked about today was that we are going to put one more bid in for Branthwaite, or we're preparing to put one more bid in, or we're discussing to put one more bid in. And this kind of makes me nervous because Branthwaite does make me nervous. So Branthwaite, I'm not so convinced by Branthwaite. So let me explain why. One of the big content creators, this fella also is not convinced by Branthwaite. And by the way, I know it's funny to see him dreaming about Rio Ferdinand, but I would love to have prime Rio Ferdinand in our squad right now. He's way better than most of these defenders we're talking about. Actually, way better than any defender that's playing right now. I'm sure of it. But Branthwaite, the reason why Branthwaite makes me nervous is because if you really analyze his game, he's tall, which makes him great in aerial duels, but it's also he's so tall that he's also a little awkward. It's as if he's not in full control of his lanky body yet. Sometimes when he runs and he touches the ball and he tries to dribble or pass, he kicks the ball too soft or he kicks the ball too hard. Watch the bad passes or the mistakes he makes. You could tell he's got an awkward body and he's not really in charge of it yet. Maybe he's going to grow into it. I mean, he is kind of young. Maybe he's going to grow into it and he's going to be great in about 2 years. Or maybe he's not. Maybe he's always going to have that awkward misstep in him and that awkward pass. The guy's statistics say that his ground duels, he wins an average of 76% ground duels, which is freaking high. So that's good. That's great. That's among the highest. But his forward passes and his pass completion percentages are low for somebody who I think plays mostly backwards and sideways passes in Everton, because they're not exactly like a sexy attacking team. Now, with all fairness, they also do launch some long balls, so maybe that's hurting his passing percentage, but I'm just not convinced. Every time I watch him, I feel like, man, that was good. He's good. That was good. That was good. That was good. And then the 5th or 6th or 7th action he does is a big error, where I'm like, what was that? Where the good things he does are not good enough to forgive that error 10% of the time that he's got the ball. And it's almost at that rate, which is dangerous. You can't be making an error 10% of the time you touch the ball. And it's almost at that rate. So go or not always touching the ball. Sometimes he makes an error around the ball. Like the guy dribbles past him, basically, nutmegs him or goes around him. Because he lunges in. Let's move on. Next. Fabrizio also said that we've been having conversations with PSG and that we talked to them about Ugarte, but he's not the only player we talked about. We were talking about other players and we didn't make a bid for Ugarte. Ugarte, man, I don't know how I feel about a defensive midfielder like Ugarte. I don't know how I feel about this at all, to be honest with you. Now, is he better than what we have? Yes, he's better than what we have, but almost anybody's better than what we have. We have an out of shape Casemiro who doesn't even look interested and doesn't look like he wants to be there. I love Cass. I think Cass was great 2 seasons ago. But I also think Cass was even greater 5 seasons ago when he was at Real Madrid in his prime. So I love Cass, but I never really wanted to sign Casemiro, to be honest with you, just because I was like, what is he going to give us? 2 years? And that's exactly what's happening. He gave us 2 years. He actually only gave us 1. I don't count last year because it was horrible. But anyways, anybody would be better than Casemiro or nobody, because Amrabat's not sticking around. And I don't blame them for not signing Amrabat. I wouldn't. I liked him. He was cool, but I really wouldn't sign him. It took too long to kind of show us what he's got. And then when he showed us what he's got, it was good, but it wasn't like amazing. I like his heart. Like if he was an academy kid that we didn't have to pay for, I would say, yeah, keep him. This is a good backup to have to whoever we bring in to start. But paying $20 million for him, even though that's cheap, I'd rather just pay $50 million and get someone else. But that's the way I think. You might not agree with me. And you might be thinking, well, he's $20 million. That's a good bargain. Yeah, but I don't care about bargains. I'm not a glazer, so I don't care about saving money. It's not coming in my pocket. I care about my squad, my team, and I care about my weekends not being ruined because we didn't get good enough players and we keep losing games or just drawing games. So, yeah, I want someone good. And Ugarte, he's good, but he's not great. Like, he's not going to be somebody. Okay, so the way we got to think about it is this. We got to think about it as a points thing. Like last year, we finished on 60 points. That's horrible. That's trash. We can't be finishing on 60 points. Now, we finished on 60 points because of unforeseen circumstances, like 2 million injuries or whatever else we had. So we have to think about, like, is this player we're bringing in going to get us points? Or is he good enough just to kind of keep us at that level? Is he a step up? Is Ugarte much better than Amrabat or Cass? I don't know. Do you know that? I don't know. And is Ugarte being on the team? Like, this is, if we were playing, what's it called? Moneyball. Is Ugarte the equivalent of getting 6 more points? Or is Ugarte the equivalent of getting 12 more points or 15 more points? Because that's what I think Joao Neves is. In my mind, Joao Neves is 10 to 15 more points. Don't think Ugarte is more than 6 more points than our healthy squad. So if we had our healthy squad around him, and we drop Ugarte in and take Casemiro or Amrabat out, does he get us 6 more points? And that's what I mean by, I think if you have our last year's squad and you take out Amrabat or Casemiro and you drop Joao Neves in, I think that's 10 to 15 points. I really do. That guy covers more ground than both of them. He breaks up more plays, he intercepts more balls, and he starts transitions. I mean, that guy doesn't keep the ball. If you watch him play, like, he only keeps the ball because he's being pressed and he needs to dribble around somebody. He's press resistant too. Like, he will do the Cruyff turn and then pass. Like, he's so good. He's so good. It's insane. His only flaw, I'm telling you right now, his only flaw is his height. If he was 6 feet tall, we'd spend $100 million to go get him. If he was 6'2", we'd spend $100 million to go get him. I don't even think INEOS would think about it. They'd be like, oh my God, he wants to sign for us? We'd spend $100 million because he's worth like 180 if he was 6'2". Because he's short, it makes it a gamble. It makes it a gamble. Can he physically handle the Premier League at that position, at that height? I think he can. I think we look at Conte as the case study and we go, wait a minute, he has the ability to be Conte or better in the long run. Not yet. I'm not saying he's better than Conte now. He's not. But he's not anywhere near his prime. He's 19 years old. He has the ability to become as good as Conte in his prime or even better than Conte's prime. And is that worth the 80 million euros or 90 million euros it's going to take to get him? I don't know. But anyway, I think 10 to 15 points. Is that worth 100 million euros? I don't know. We have to figure out what are the points worth. And we're going to get to that at the tail end of this video really soon, actually. We're going to talk about FFP. We're going to talk about why we have to spend more money. We have to talk about points, how this affects our finances for next year, and how spending money this year affects next year's summer. Because we've heard some things come out today in a video. I don't want to name names, but I kind of have to, just to kind of point out the video that I don't agree with. And we'll get to that too. And we'll talk more about that. I just want to finish up everything Fabrizio talked about, and we'll get there. So anyways, Fabrizio is saying we're talking to PSG for more than one player, so it's not just Ugarte, it's a lot of players, and we didn't bid for Ugarte, and I'm happy we didn't bid for Ugarte. I don't think we're going to bid for anybody except for Branthwaite until July 1st anyways because of the new fiscal year. And also I think just like Real Madrid, we're waiting for the Saudi window to open, especially for our midfielder, to see what they're going to offer, if they're going to offer for Casemiro, and if Casemiro is going to be willing to go. Fabrizio himself said that Casemiro is not a complete no to go to Saudi. So there is a chance that Casemiro will be willing to go to Saudi, which is a surprise to me because I thought he wouldn't want to go. I thought he's on good wages here, and this is Europe. And, picking up your family and moving to Saudi Arabia, not exactly easy. But then again, a handful of Brazilians have made the move last year. So there's enough people maybe that he knows that families and stuff that they can get together and hang out on their days off, because that's the hard part about moving to a different foreign country, especially one with completely different lifestyle and rules to what you're used to. So if you don't have your own kind of culture or community, if you feel like a fish out of water, right? So maybe though it's possible because Fabrizio thinks it's possible, and we got to wait and see what Saudi Arabia is willing to offer to take him. They know they don't have to offer much, so I don't think they're going to offer much. They don't have to offer much. They know we want to offload him, and they know he's not really the happiest person here with us. So it's not going to be 80 million. It's not going to be 60 million. I'm just hoping it's not less than 30 million. I hope they don't come back and say 25 million. But anyway, we'll find out, and then that's when you'll start seeing more things happen, which sucks for us because I want things to happen before the preseason tour starts. And the Saudi window doesn't open until July 14th, I believe. I might be wrong on that. Double check my work on Google. But I think the last I read, it was July 14th that the Saudi window opens. By the way, if I am wrong, correct me in the comments so whoever's watching this video can look down in the comments and find out if I was wrong and if one of you corrected me. Thank you. But that's where I think that's going. But I'm really curious, what other players at PSG do you think Manchester United was talking to PSG about? Because PSG is not going to sell like starting 11 caliber players. They just don't do that. And Ugarte is not a starting 11 caliber player. Actually, I was thinking even that they're trying to offload Ugarte to us, use that money to go get Joao Neves themselves, which I really don't want to do. I don't want to help them and fund their bid for Joao Neves. That pisses me off even more because I want Joao Neves. So I don't want to be like, oh, here's half of Joao Neves' payment for your Ugarte, and now you go and get Joao Neves. That's lame. We need to be Manchester United. We don't need to be playing second fiddle with PSG. This starts to feel like PSG is a better team than us, and it's kind of how I felt when we got Casemiro from Real Madrid, to be honest with you. It's kind of exactly how I felt. I go, oh, so they got Camavinga and Tchouaméni, and then we get their leftovers. And I know that's not fair to say, but it's true. I mean, we're getting the one who didn't make it, or the one that doesn't make it anymore. And then we find out 2 seasons later, there's a reason why, right? Like Casemiro was great one day, and he's just not the same Casemiro anymore. Ugarte is not really that great in the French league. So what makes us think he's going to come into our league and be amazing? Again, he's going to be better than nothing because we have nothing. So he's still worth 6 points to me, but he's not worth 10 or 15 points. All right, hang in there. We're going to talk about FFP very soon, but there was some exciting news this week that I just never got a chance to talk about, and that is the Ruud van Nistelrooy coming in to become one of our coaches' news. I grew up watching Ruud van Nistelrooy. I am pretty old, so I'm probably older than most of my viewers or the guys watching. So I got to watch a lot of football. Guilty. Yes, these are gray hairs in my beard. I'm up there in age. But I got to watch Ruud van Nistelrooy, and I got to tell you, Ruud van Nistelrooy was awesome. Ruud van Nistelrooy was a killer in front of the goal. And I remember hearing stories about how he would get mad if we won 4-0 and he didn't score one of the goals. And, that might make him a bastard, but that's a bastard we want. That's a bastard we need. Also, though, Ruud van Nistelrooy proved to be kind of very intelligent when it came to football. He angled his runs in such ways where he made himself available to get the ball and score. Ruud was a hell of a thinker out there. He wasn't just like, put your head down and run and gun. He was a hell of a thinker and ran in so many beautiful angles, would change his run and run in a different angle to make himself more available. If he starts running in one angle, but then he sees the ball moved or the guy's body shape changed to where he knew that pass wasn't going to come anymore to that angle, he would change his run instantly and find a different angle. And if a teammate didn't pass, he would get extremely annoyed and really angry. And that's okay. Like, he held people accountable. And he was selfish as a striker, and that's okay too. And him joining our coaching team is awesome. It's awesome. I'm actually very excited. Van de Gogh might be a great assistant manager for all we know, but Van de Gogh, we can all see, like, he looks a little lifeless, right? Like, he doesn't look like he has much character. He just kind of sits there with his laptop or notebook or whatever it is, and he does his thing. And that's great too, but Ruud's not going to be like that. Ruud's going to be lively. Ruud's going to get emotional. Ruud's going to let you have it if you're not doing the good things. And it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. I'm looking forward to it. The other thing that I didn't get to touch on last week is I saw a video, and I couldn't find this, or else I would have posted it up here or shown you guys a photo of it like I always do. I'd edit something in there. And it was Marcus Rashford training in the offseason, and he looked fit. And Terrell Malacia was with him too. If you guys know where I might have seen that, post it in the comments below, because I should have used it in this video, but I couldn't find it for the edit. I usually try to get all my stuff together before I record these videos so that, listen, I spend a couple of hours editing this after I record these videos. I mean, I spend time editing this to make the things happen so that some of the videos entertaining. It's not just me sitting here talking. And I just couldn't find that thing. So the point is this, though. I saw Marcus training in some photos, and I'm so excited because Marcus has this ability to have a really bad season followed by like an amazing season. And sometimes he could have 2 okay seasons followed by an amazing season. But I'm hoping this time it was just one bad season and the next one's going to be an amazing season. I have a feeling it is. I have a feeling he's going to come back like a superhero and crush it next season. I have a feeling he's going to crush it next season, man. I'm excited to see what he does. And right now, I just saw a video when I was looking for that picture or video that he's in LA right now in my neck of the woods, relaxing, having a good time. And that's great. That's what I want. I want him to train hard, but I want him to party hard too and get it out of his system, because no more, nights at Belfast like last season. Let's get our head down and let's go to work, and let's score another 25, 35 goals next season. I really think it's coming. I think it's coming. Okay, it's time to talk about the FFP thing and get all that cleared up. But before, a word from my sponsor. I don't have one. I don't have a sponsor. I'm doing this myself. I need you guys' help. Click the like button below if you're with me. If you like what I have to say, click the like button. And if you're still not convinced you like what I have to say or not, let's do the FFP thing. And if you like that one, click the like button afterwards. Let's get 50 likes. Let's get to 100 likes. I've never been to 50 likes, but let's get to 50 likes first. And if we get there, if you're watching this and there's 50 likes, help me get to 100, man. Thank you. Okay, FFP. So somebody made a video. This man, I respect the man. The picture is just a joke. I like to have fun. If you watch my videos, you know that I post funny or witty pictures, whatever you want to call it, because I just want to, what if I just put a photo of him? That's kind of boring. Something like this makes it a little more lively. So this is not me disrespecting the Muppetiers. This is not me disrespecting James in any way, shape, or form. I watch all these people's content. I watch the United Stand every day. I watch the United View every day. I haven't done anything about KG and Flex yet. It'll be your turn soon. And Owen. But, I post these things and I use their names or their whatever because I watch them. I respect them. I listen to what they have to say. I don't agree with everything they have to say, obviously, because I'm about to go into how I don't agree with what James said today. But that doesn't mean anything. That's not disrespectful. I don't agree with everything my parents say. That doesn't mean I don't love them. Like, that's just the way life is, right? You have agreements and disagreements. So let's get right into it. FFP discussion. Today, he said something in his video about, okay, maybe we do have $250 million to spend, which, by the way, I'm glad he said it, because for a long time, a lot of people were saying we can't spend that much because of FFP, which I told you guys about 2 months ago that was BS. I made a video 2 months ago talking about how FFP doesn't mean shit for us because we make a ton of money. We make a ton of money and we have enough cap room, especially after June 30th, to spend 250 million euros without making a single sale. Without making a single sale. And the person who did the best coverage of this is the Swedish Rumble on X. I was about to call it Twitter, and I will do that from time to time. On X, Swedish Rumble, go check him out. Read his posts. They're long as hell, but I love him for that. I love him for going into detail. And he explains why and how by looking at the numbers. Look, I own some Manchester United stock, and I can't, not a lot at all. I'm not rich in any way. I have a handful of shares, let's say. And I geek out on the financial figures. I literally geek out on the financial figures, whether they release them quarterly or sometimes, for the fiscal year stuff. And I read up and I'm always impressed by how their revenue goes up year by year. I'll find a graphic and put it in right here. So their revenue, you can see, is climbing year by year. Even when we don't make Champions League, the revenue still keeps going up because the team is just highly marketable. This team, there's so many fans in the world that we haven't even tapped into every market yet. And I'm so excited for Barada coming in because Barada is going to have some tricks up his sleeve that we've never used at our company, at our football club. Sorry for calling it company. That's disrespectful. My bad. At our football club. And so that's going to make our revenue stream go up even more. So now he said, let's get back to the subject. He said that we have 250 million in cap space in or about, and that's without making a single sale. That's without selling Mason Greenwood. That's without selling Jadon Sancho. That's without letting Casemiro go. That's just 250 million flat. If we sell these guys, and yes, there's amortized costs. So if we sell Jadon for 40 million, doesn't mean we get an extra 40 million. And I know that. And if you watch my previous videos, I explained all that already, but I'll go into it really quick. There are amortized costs. We still owe on Jadon Sancho. We still are paying Jadon Sancho's bill to Dortmund. So that cost has to be kind of subtracted off whatever we sell them for. And whenever we sell them, nobody gives us 40. Let's say we sold them for 40 million. Nobody's going to give us 40 million. No one is. They're going to give us, again, payments on however long the contract with Jadon is. So if they sign him for 5 years and they give us 40 million, now if they choose to, or if we push hard, they might make a bigger payment up front, but then the rest of the balance would be amortized for whatever contract length is. So it's not like it has to be 4 even let's say the contract's for 4 years. It doesn't have to be 4 even payments of 10 million. Like we could push hard and be like, we want 50 million the first year and then divide the other 3 payments into 3 years or whatever. And that's subtracted. And then you just use whatever. If you make a profit on the sale, you can put that towards your FFP. And if you don't make a profit, then you don't really put anything towards your FFP, right? So the point is this, 250 million without any sales. Try to stay with me. I know this is going to go in a little bit of tangent, but hey, if I confuse you in any way, leave a comment down below and I'll answer. I answer almost all comments that need answers. So 250 million to spend, and James was saying that don't expect INEOS to spend it all now because then we won't have any money to spend next summer. That is not true. That is not true. And I'm sorry, James. I'm not, again, this is not disrespect. I'm not sure you completely are taking everything into account. That's not how you can think. You can't think, we have 250 million in FFP. We spend 150 million now, and we get another 100 to spend next summer. That's not how it works. That's just not how it works. When even after that, when he was talking about finishing better than 8th place, he said that we have to finish better than 8th place because Erik ten Hag's excuse for not finishing better than 8th place was all the injuries he had. So we have to finish better than 8th place, which is fair enough. I get that. Yeah, we will finish better than 8th place if we don't have those same injuries and if we cover our losses. Meaning if Varane is now gone, we have to get a replacement for Varane. So if we cover our losses and he has a squad to play with, we should get better than 8th place. That's easy math. That's nothing. That means nothing to me. And then he said one time, he said top 4. Other than that, he kept saying better than 8th place. Top 4 and better than 8th place are two very, very different things. Top 4 and better than 8th place are very extremely different things. You can get 6th place and be better than 8th place. You can go from 60 points to 72 points and that's better than 8th place. But that doesn't mean that 72 points is enough to get to 4th place. And then you have 7 other teams on top of you that are also strengthening. You got to take all of that into consideration too. It's not like all those other teams are going to stagnate. You've got, I don't even want to say it, but I'm going to say it anyways. You got the Spurs with a good manager. Ange is a good manager. And Ange is now going to go into his 2nd year, and his team's going to understand more about how he wants to play, and they're going to strengthen. You don't think they're going to get at least 6 more points than they got last season? They're going to get at least 6 more points than they got last season, I think. Maybe even more, because like I said, Ange now has an even better understanding of the Premier League and what it takes. So that's just Spurs. That's just Spurs. We haven't even talked about Liverpool and maybe getting the new manager bounce. Maybe, or maybe not. It could go the other way, but you can't discount that. We're not talking about Aston Villa strengthening because Aston Villa have a good manager too. And he's going to strengthen. He just got rid of Douglas Luiz. They just balanced the books before June 30th by doing some, let's say, shady deals with Chelsea. But they balanced the books. Now they're going to go into July 1st and they're going to be ready to spend again. They're going to strengthen. They will be bringing in another 1 or 2 players and strengthening their squad. Sorry about that. My phone's going off. Arsenal and Man City, we don't even need to mention. Those guys are going to finish 1 and 2. Again, it's obvious they're so strong on both squads, and they will add 1 piece probably in the summer, and that 1 piece will just help them get even more points than they got last season, or at least keep them at that level that they were at last season. Chelsea, I believe, is going to strengthen. So Newcastle is definitely going to be strengthening. They're building over there. So I think that we have to strengthen even more than just replacing what we're losing. You can't say that we lost Varane, we're going to get Branthwaite. If we sell Casemiro, we're going to bring in Ugarte. And then we're going to have Xerxes come in to be the backup, just like, better than Martial because Martial couldn't play. So now we're replacing Martial with Xerxes. And we're replacing what we had, which gives us a fighting chance to maybe finish in 4th. And that's going to cost us. And that is what's going to limit our FFP next summer, not if we spend 250 million. So let me explain. As we all know that Manchester United makes these big sponsorship deals, like the big record-breaking deal we have with Adidas. The Adidas deal provides us with over 900 million pounds of income over 10 years. So that's about 90-something million pounds a year. But there's a stipulation in the deal that if we don't get into Champions League for 2 consecutive years, that second year we get penalized 30%. That's pretty much 30 million pounds. So we get penalized 30 million pounds if we don't finish in the top 4 next season. Okay, that's one. Now, if we also don't finish in the top 4 and don't play Champions League the following season, that's another minimum 30 million that we're going to miss out on just Champions League earnings. Now, I say 30 million minimum because if you read this here, it tells you the breakdown of how people earn money. If you just go into the group stage, you get like 15 million euros just for being there. Then every draw, you get a little bit of money. Every win, you get a little bit of money. And then there's another allocated funds that go to your country's FA or whatever. And that's based on like your country's TV revenue. So England is pretty big, and Sky pays, I think it's Sky, whoever, pays a decent amount of money for Champions League rights over there in that country. So they get a bigger allocation of money, and then that allocation of money is spread out to the English teams that are in the Champions League, depending on how many games they play. So the more games you play in the Champions League, the more money you make. All in all, if you add it up, the average is if you make it to the Champions League, you're going to get another anywhere from 20 million to 30 million pounds. And that's not even getting out of the round of 16. That's just like getting to the round of 16 and not making it to the quarterfinals. So even if you don't get to the round of 16 and you just get kicked out at the group stage, you're making somewhere like 20 million euros. So that's 50 million that we'd be missing out on just from those 2 examples if we don't make top 4 next season. That's just 2 examples. Now, you know that Manchester United has other sponsorship deals, and for all we know, they're kind of structured the same way. If you don't make Champions League, you get less money because my brand isn't going to be shown on the Champions League on broadcasts. And it has to be that way. It's not going to be as big as the Adidas payment, but it's still going to be a couple million. So if you add it all up, that's a lot of money. And then don't forget about the ticket sales. Champions League games probably cost more than Europa League games. So all of that combined is like almost 100 million in revenue lost if we don't get into top 4. Now, do you want to still say, do you still play it safe and budget and pay only 100 million or 150 million in incomings this season and gamble with not finishing in the top 4? Because I'm telling you, those 7 other teams are fighting for the same top 4. So there's 8 of us now fighting for top 4. There's 8. I don't think the Premier League's ever been as strong as it is now, where there's 8 teams you can honestly say can probably make the top 4 next season. 2 are the only ones guaranteed, and that's City and Arsenal. 2 are guaranteed, and the other 6 are fighting for 2 spots. 6 people fighting for 2 spots. And you want to spend 150 million only and bring in Branthwaite and Xerxes, who's not even a starter. Okay, if he's the starter, then Rasmus Højlund's not the starter. Right? That's my opinion. Again, I know maybe I come off a little strong, but that's my opinion. It makes me nervous. To think like that, it just makes me nervous. That's why I'm coming off strong. So I'm not coming off strong because I'm like, look at me, I'm smart. I'm coming off strong. I'm like, dude, you're going to waste that much money? That's a waste of money. You add more money and you bring in people who bring you points. That's why I want to talk about points. Players are points. That's what Moneyball is. Players mean points. If I spend 100 million on this player, how many points does that probably get me? By doing analysis, by looking at the statistics, by doing this and that. I'm not that smart. I don't know. I make guesses. That's how smart I am. I'm smart enough to make guesses. Thank you. I'm not that smart, but I look at an Ugarte and I think maybe 6 more points. I mean, that's fair. I look at a Branthwaite and I go, no more points. Literally no more points. I don't think he's any better than Varane. Now, Varane played a decent amount last season. Yes, he was injured, but he played a decent amount. I think he played something like 30 games. If I'm wrong, correct me in the comments, guys. But I think he played 30 games. So that's an okay amount, right? And is Branthwaite going to play, 40 games? Okay. Let's say Branthwaite plays 40 games. Counting the cups and everything else, of course. Is that more than 3 points more than Varane, or is that the same as Varane? I guess it would only matter Premier League games. So I haven't done that math. I don't know how many Premier League games Varane played. And again, though, Varane is a better defender than Branthwaite. So even if Branthwaite played 4 more games than Veron, he's not going to equal 12 more points. That's not going to be 3 more points each game that he plays more than Veron. No way. Because Branthwaite's not, let's say when Veron didn't play, Maguire played. Branthwaite's not like head and shoulders better than Maguire, or even Johnny Evans for that matter. Because what Branthwaite has in speed over Johnny Evans or whatever else, Johnny Evans had in football knowledge, football intelligence. Johnny Evans wasn't like horrible. He wasn't giving away goals, right? Our biggest weakness was our defensive midfielder last season. Yes, our defenders are not the greatest. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying our defenders were fine. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying our biggest weakness wasn't our center backs, even though we had a lot of injuries. Our biggest weakness was the big gap between midfield and our center backs. Our biggest weakness was Casemiro. Let's be honest. Our biggest weakness was Casemiro with his wild slide tackles that didn't amount to anything except for like give them a whole lane to run at our goal. So that's where we need to spend a lot of money. In my opinion, that's where we can make up the most points. I don't think we should be spending $70 million on Jared Branthwaite. I just don't. I don't see how he's that valuable. But maybe I'm wrong because I didn't watch every Everton game. I watched like 2. I'm going to be honest. I just watched 2. After the season ended, I went back and watched 2 because I knew we were interested in them. But in those 2, and I saw a lot of good things. I'm not here to bash Jared Branthwaite. If he signs, I'm going to back him. I saw a lot of good things, but I saw some things that I was like, $70 million for that, no thank you. $60 million for that, no thank you. No more than $40 million. And even then I'm nervous. So, long story short, we need to spend whatever the heck we need to spend. If that means the whole $250 million, we need to spend that to make sure that we have a fighting chance to get top 4. Because it's not going to be Eric Ten Hag's fault if we only finish in 6th place, because that's better than 8th. If we didn't back him and all we did was replace what we had and he got to 6th place, that's better than 8th. Look at the points totals again on this board. Look at that points totals. You have to make more points next season to finish in the top 4 than it took this season. So we were finished at 60 points. Now, if we would have finished at 75 points this last season, maybe we could have made top 4. I can't see the points totals in front of me right now. I'm just putting it up there for you. But I think 75 points might have been enough for top 4, but I don't think 75 points is going to be good enough for top 4 next season. Like I said, some of these teams are going to strengthen. Maybe 75 points will be good enough next season too, but it'll be like based on goal differential, because I think somebody else will get to 75 points too. There's going to be a lot of good teams next season. There's going to be a lot of hard games next season. And we're going to need a good squad. That's my take. Thank you very much for being with me. Remember to like or subscribe if you're with me for this long. Go ahead and like and subscribe. Help me out. Let's get these videos going. I mean, I'm only getting 250 views on some of my videos. Some of them are doing good, but most of them aren't. So help me out. Thank you very much. I'll see you soon. Hope you enjoyed this discussion. It was a long one. Sorry. Bye.